Right then, good evening all. We're here for Dragon Force Racing League's round 3 of their F1 esports season, and tonight's race being held in Russia. Track Sochi Autodrome has been in use since 2014, so not that long. It's one of the newer tracks on the current calendar, but it will also be gone from the calendar in a couple of years to come, as the track will be moving from Sochi for the Russian Grand Prix to be held at St. Petersburg from 2023, as a report came out not overly long ago. As a track, it is a bit hit and miss. Some drivers favour it, some really do not find it a favourite. One of the more successful drivers there over the last few years, Valtteri Bottas, and then others have also had it as a race that they really won't miss in the future. Most notably 2016, those that might remember it, Daniel Kvyat, as he was named the Torpedo after his incident in that race. 2016, off the start line in turns 2 and turn 4, hitting the rear of Sebastian Vettel in the opening 4 corners on 2 occasions, got nicknamed the Torpedo. So the Russian at his home track did not put on a particularly great showing on that occasion. The track itself for tonight, we are short qualifying, so 18 minutes of qualifying with just one session, followed by a 50% race being 27 laps. The track itself usually will be raced over 53 laps, and track length 5.8 kilometres. With 18 turns. It is a very harsh track if you get it wrong, but if you get it right, you really can put in a stunning show, which I'm sure we'll have tonight. Lap record, if anyone fancied going and challenging the real life track record, is Lewis Hamilton's, set in 2019 at a 1 minute 35.761. Those tenths and hundredths of a second, all important, especially as we enter into qualifying. That really can be a tenth, a hundredth or a thousandth separating the top few, and that elusive pole position that is up for grabs this evening. We're just waiting a couple of minutes while we ensure we have got everyone in the session. Just waiting for the host to finalise and ready up, which sends us into the start of qualifying this evening. In terms of the table, it is only race 3 this, so very early on in the season, with a win round 1 at Hungary for Spencer, and he is racing in the Mercedes, and he is also now leading the Drivers' Championship on 33 points. Second Drivers' Championship is Zondi, driving in the Williams. I haven't actually seen Zondi yet. Zondi is in for this evening. He is second on 25.7 behind Spencer, and he won round 2 in Mexico last time out. So certainly some great competition there. Heading down the order, Alfa Romeo sat 3rd and 4th in Drivers' Championship with 18 points apiece. Both drivers having a second place, one after each other. That puts them in a very strong position as a constructor going into race 3, and hopefully following through the season as well. So see, we're just loading it and heading into the start of the 18-minute qualifying session. There we are, just counting down the seconds to the start of the session as everyone loads in, selects their tyres, whether they stay on a balanced set, whether they might go for a harder set, so extra set of the medium hard compound tyres, or are they going to risk it and go softer compounds and drop that hard tyre for today's race. strategy really can be a winning or losing technique around these circuits, especially as it really can make a change. So looking at safety cars as well can really impact the race. So first couple of turns in the race will be absolutely crucial, but for now let's focus on qualifying. Now it'll be quite interesting to see what tyres everyone does go out on for the initial run, but we'll just wait for the first car out. It looks like it's going to be a Red Bull. Which one have we got coming out? Actually, we've got a whole pile of cars coming out now. Let's see who's at the front of the grid. It's Raptor leading the pack out. Obviously they have had time to drop on their setups, which I'm sure they've all been perfecting and mastering, and many of them would have been practicing prior to this session. I believe they held a practice lobby a little bit earlier on. Now I know a few of them will jostle for position on their way out. Who have we got at the front? In fact, at the very front at the minute, Obscure Cheese leading the pack round, so he's looking to be the first one on a flying lap this evening. Although saying that, they are actually racing each other on their way around. So Just So Godly taking the front of the pack and wanting to lead away. Always an advantage to be out in clean air at the front of the session. However, it also means all eyes are going to be on Just So Godly here for the initial run to set the pace. So just preparing as he heads into the penultimate corner, and we'll follow on board for his first initial run. Head into final corner and down the main straight, trying to get a good exit there. It is a very, very long run down to turn 2. Count turn 2 as the first corner. This little kink is turn 1. Obviously full throttle all the way down here, so it is very, very important to get a good exit off that last corner. Head into turn 2. A little bit there. He's actually invalidated that lap, so the track map's gone red. So he will need to either go around again or box and come back out a little bit later. Next on track then is Raptor. We'll ride on board with and see how he gets on. Just keeping it in the track limits there, using all of the curb available. And Purple first sector obviously is the first one to get a sector 1 time in. Purple just immediately disappeared. Someone behind, probably going faster, as he invalidates in that section. Okie dokie, we're not doing so well on invalidations at the moment. We've got both Alfa Romeos about. Obscure Cheese then it is. Looks like he might be having a few... no, just jumping around a bit there. So he's on a medium tyre. Now medium tyre can be very good if you can have... if you do have the pace for starting inside the top 10. However, it does mean those around you have a high likelihood of going faster on the soft tyres. Getting a little bit out of sorts there as he enters the final sector. Head down to the penultimate corner. There's a bit of traffic ahead, but won't bother him at this distance. They'll be going on to a lap. So, first time lap didn't go on the board. Yes, it has. It wasn't from himself though. First laps on the board there then. Jimmy PSV a 1:29.49, and in the Red Bull behind Sorsoch a 1:30.7. A few of the times starting to hit the board now. In fact, they're coming across thick and fast. Let me see who we can catch coming over the line. So KXI just starting his lap. Let's ride on board to see how he gets on. A long left-hander, really quite hard to hook up. If you do catch that inside curb and you do it just at the wrong time, it can quite easily give you a little bit of a snap and pull you away from the racing line, but very nicely done. A perfect example there from KXI. A little bit of traffic to deal with on his lap here. He'll hopefully get well out of his rate. As we see a little bit of the raindrops coming down there, are we seeing everyone bolting for a nice quick lap now before the rain hits? Anyone who hasn't gone out, there's a few still in the pits. Spencer, Andre and Knowsley, they could be in for a very long race if they can't get a lap done on these slick tyres. A little bit of traffic there, that was very, very naughty. Who was that? Klosem... I can't, honestly I can't pronounce your name, I do apologise. Klosemska... I'll go with that. Just making a little bit of a block there on KXI. It's ruined his lap. A lot of cars diving in the pits there as well. And a whole hustler cars coming up behind here. Let's pick someone else who's on a lap, shall we? Cody just starting a lap. Let's ride on board with Cody. Good friend. Managed to race with him quite often myself as well, so I know what to expect. I don't know quite where he'll put himself in this field, but a good opportunity for him to put on a great show in this evening. His pace over the last year or so, especially since this 2021 game has been released, has certainly improved, as a lot of these drivers have put in quite substantial amounts of time into the new game since it was released around 2 months ago. KXI directly in front of him there, having a little bit of a hop, skip and a jump across the curb. I believe he is attempting a second lap on those tyres because obviously he was impeded on his first attempt, so it's good to get a little bit of a view of both of them here. Let's head down into the tight and twisty Sector 3. See a couple of these laps going on the board now, also not really representative laps. KXI I'd expect to, if he's had a clean run, improve on this lap. No, he is boxing actually. Or is he getting out of the way? No, I think he's in fact getting out of the way. Definitely a recharge lap. Cody there, a 1:34.0, taking him up to P11 for the time being. Zondi, is he on a lap? Yes he is, he's getting down the back straight. Let's ride on board. Zondi, winner last time out at Mexico, and chasing down the lead of the Drivers' Championship at the minute. Very nicely placed through the tight and twisty section. Just a couple of corners left to go. See what time we can get on the board. 1:29.4 to target, but obviously a little bit slippery out there now as we see this rain intensifying. A little bit of a wiggle and a slide across the line takes him P9, 1:33.4. Right, let's ride on board with these guys who've still got laps to set. Raptor just starting his lap. Further ahead is Spencer. Oh, had a little bit of spin there. Not ideal for the championship leader at this point, and he's not got a time on the board as of yet. Maybe struggling on those slick tyres with the rain. KXI there, taking a little trip off the road as well. Hasn't retired him from the session as of yet though. Let's join aboard with Piero and see how he gets on. See if he managed to get a competitive time on the board. See, conditions getting much harder now as we go through this session. Don't worry too much about the yellow flags in all sectors currently. It is just the fact where drivers on their out laps or in laps are pulling aside, letting the gents on their hot laps through. Obviously fair racing and giving each other the opportunity to get a time on the board. There we go then, round the final corner. P14 there for Pirro, obviously in conditions not ideal, so it could well have something to do with it. Andre on his lap now, Nosley is boxed and bailed. He is retired from the session. He will not put a time on the board. Harras has DSQ'd, so he's been disqualified. Not entirely sure what that was for at this moment in time. Jimmy PSV has retired. He has retired in the box with his 129.4 provisional pole. Now I can't really see anyone beating that with quite substantially wet conditions now. I'd even be bordering the fact that if anyone was going out now, it would be getting a look at the intermediate tyre. Certainly won't be seeing anyone really improve on this tyre. Spence down there still in the pits without a time. Andre is on a lap, sorry. No, he isn't. He's bailed on his lap as well. So yeah, I think these guys have all come to realise that probably won't be any times posted that are better. Spencer has headed out on the intermediate tyres. Let's have a look at the tyres for now. Yeah, so a few heading out there. Obscure Cheese, William Gaming and not Lukebeck. Up the top end of the grid, gone out on the intermediates. They realistically will not improve their times on the intermediates, but it might be just to get a feel for them in the current weather conditions. Spencer, however, has not got a time at all. So if he goes around and absolutely nails a lap, he could potentially pick off a couple of places, but I certainly wouldn't expect to see him within the top 10 based on tyre choice and obviously the deteriorating conditions at the moment. No one actually on a hot lap at the minute. As I say that, in fact, the Aston Martin now, TJ Carlo, is on a lap on the soft tyre in the wet. It must be extremely hard for him braking as he takes a good wallop of the curb there to send him well over the outer edge of the circuit. There you go, and you can just see how hard he's having to fight the car on those slick tyres at this point. I think we can safely say that we will not be seeing any improvements on the lap times now. Quite a few drivers opting to go out there on the intermediates actually is quite surprising. 5 minutes left in this qualifying session though. As the Obscure Cheese, he's completely lost that. Rear end has snapped on him and front wing off. In fact, I'm quite surprised it didn't take his wheel off and retire him from the session, but we will see him certainly head into the pits as TJ Carlo, as expected, into the pit lane. As Spencer getting on, he's on his hot lap now, so might as well ride on board, just see if he can get a time on the board this evening. Oh, a little bit wiggle there, just as I said that. Might be in commentator's curse, but sent it over the track limits and invalidated on this occasion. If he's got enough fuel on board, he might be able to go again, or he might need to box before returning to the circuit. Yeah, Obscure Cheese just on a in lap there. Who else is out and about? Not Luke Beck. Let's have a look at him. So he's heading out. Currently, he's not got any points in the drivers' standings at the moment. So looking for a good showing tonight for the Aston Martin team. So Aston Martin as a constructor are on 0 points, but currently in qualifying P3 and P7, so could be a good stepping stone if they can hook it up in the race. This man's got it all to do tonight if he wants to try to capitalise on last week's win and potentially take the lead of the championship this evening. So round 3 very early in the championship, but even early on you can make dints and inroads into a championship lead which could build up to a victory. Obviously these guys are all very busy as well, so do commit a lot of time to coming in every week, but sometimes you can't always come in, so having that little points buffer if you for some reason can't get on or have a bad performance, that can mean the difference between the championship. So a lot of these guys are not looking at just this race, but they are looking at it as a whole championship, and one performance could be poor, but they obviously are looking at a whole season. Sometimes you do need to compromise a little bit from time to time. Run on board with the AlphaTauri. Not really ride on board with them that much as of yet. Love this section of the track. Do enjoy driving this track myself, in fact. On occasion, but as I said earlier on, it's not particularly a driver's favourite track. Certainly one of the faster flowing street circuits we now have on the grid, along with Australia. And to be honest, Azerbaijan is, although it's got a tight and twisty section, it has got the long Sector 3 straight there. It's very similar to Russia's Sector 1, is predominantly about speed, power and your exit off the final corner here. There we are, just so Godley getting out of the way there. As his teammate goes through. No one particularly lighting up sector times at the minute, but that is to be expected in current conditions. Just 1 minute left of the session, but it looks pretty much like it's done and dusted for Jimmy PSV for pole position of 1:29.493. That is quite substantially quicker than the Red Bull in P2, being 1.3 seconds off the pace. So really are seeing a driver here who has hooked it up at the top of the times. Just because he's hooked it up in one lap though does not necessarily mean he'll be able to hook it up for the race. Lap in, lap out, 27 laps, all to play for. Strategy also very big. 27 laps, there is a minimum of a one stop. 2 different tyre compounds must be used, that of the starting tyre and one other tyre compound at any point during the race. And as to when that'll be is anyone's guess, and it really can rely on safety cars, but we'll see how that pans out in a few moments time. Let's go 2, 1, that is it. Checkered flag is out. Anyone in the pits has been automatically given the checkered flag. Those on track will get to complete the lap that they are on. Who's that on track? That is Loop. I don't know whether he's just pulled off there or had an accident, to be honest. I only just caught the very edge of that. Loop, one of the newer drivers to Formula 1 esports racing, so good luck to him this evening. Hopefully he can have a good showing in the race. It's not all about qualifying pace. You can qualify down in last place if you really wanted, and still be there in the race if you put in consistent lap times, although it looks like he's struggling a little bit on his inner lap here at this moment of time. So 19 races on the grid for tonight's race. That is just the one short of a full grid for this evening. You see these guys just come across the line now. It's just Loop coming across the line before we head into the race. There we are then, final classification of the qualifying. Alfa Romeo and Jimmy PSV taking pole position there by 1.3 seconds. Absolutely commanding pole position lap, perfectly hooked up. Looking down the order, Alfa Romeo actually sat very nicely there in first and fourth places. Heading down, Zondi, winner out last time at Mexico, down in 8th place, and the current championship leader, Spencer Milton, down in 15th in his Mercedes. So he's certainly got plenty of work to do there, not getting a lap in on the slick tyres. There we go then, and we have got a soaking wet track as we see it. So, strategies, guys. Let's see what everyone goes for. It is a pretty easy call on the type of tyre. Looking at this, I'd honestly, looking at it, be bordering a wet tyre. I can't see anyone risking it for an Inter, looking at how wet it is, but I may be mistaken. We will see as we enter onto the grid in a moment. Now, a lot of people do practice in the dry conditions to perfect their setups, get a nice balance how they see fit, but not that many do happen to practice in the wet, so could be really quite interesting there. As we see, everyone pretty much on the intermediate, yeah, everyone has gone for the intermediate tyre, so nice and easy there. Scorpion Shane DSQ'd already in 12th place. Not entirely sure what that is regarding. This is just the formation lap, so it's a good chance for the drivers to get used to the conditions on their way around. Looks like we've had a couple there that have been disqualified from the formation lap. The disqualifications at the moment are just from the formation lap. So William Gaiman and Justo Godley, I'll presume that one of them has clipped the other, which will disqualify them. Their penalty for clipping each other is starting on the grid with very cold tyres. Now, trying to get the intermediate tyre to switch on and in the correct temperature range at the best times is pretty hard work, so I certainly wouldn't want to be those guys sat there on cold intermediate tyres. They will most likely get swallowed up at the start of the race, and for those guys behind as well, they've got to be very, very cautious to ensure that there's no collisions, knowing that those guys are probably going to be a little bit slower off the line. So for the two behind, Luke Bet and Zondi, definitely going to have to keep close eyes on what's going on around them. Hey, oh, and there we are, as we switch to him, it must be commentator's curse yet again. TJ Carlo having a little bit of a pregnant. So the intermediate tyre, we know for a fact, will not last this entire race, so they will be coming in at any one time. Now, the ruling of two different tyre compounds is completely out the window with the wet weather, so they can go into intermediate tyres for both stints if they wish, unless someone is really, really brave and decides to try something different later on, depending if we have variable weather conditions this evening, or potentially even a wet tyre if someone's really struggling. As we just wait for the back view to take the position on the grid. Ferrari into place. There we are then, guys. 2, 3, 4. We've got 5 lights. Lights out and away we go. There is a straight penalty there for Obscure Cheese. I'll take a wild guess at a jump start. That's 3 wide going down the main straight there. Looks lovely and clean down first section. No, there's an Aston Martin round. I don't know quite what's happened there. A little bit of a clip for TJ Carlo, send him right down to the back of the field. Try and flick back up to the front, see what's going on. Nice four-way battle here. Going round the long left-hander into turn 4. Can he all hook it up tidily? Yeah, all getting relatively clean, tidy. Red Bull having a little bit of a wobble there on the exit. See Obscure Cheese there, drop down the order. Looks like he's had a little bit of spin, maybe a little bit of contact there. Very, very close battles all on track on this first lap. Wait for the field to spread out a little bit. Jimmy PSV there, just walking away in the lead. 3 seconds opened up within the first 2 sectors as the virtual safety car comes out on track. Due to incident, Obscure Cheese there has retired there from that spin earlier on. And it is now actually gone to a full safety car at this point. A couple of penalties on the board already. William Gaming has got a 3-second time penalty for corner cutting. I will take a wild guess that that is where he's had to either run wide to avoid collisions. It can be a little bit unlucky, but it is 3 strikes to a 3-second penalty there, and a 5-second penalty a little bit further down. Now I don't know whether that's for causing a collision or directly skipping a corner, but that will stand as an interval. No one will pit expectedly unless they've got damage on this early stage. They all come across one by one down the order. We've got a few guys going in the pits, in fact. So you've got William Gaming 100 there. Off he goes. New set. I'm going to take front wing change. Probably the issue. In fact, quite a few coming in and out of the pits at the moment. Zondi there in the pits, and TJ Carlos right on board just while he has his wing change. Off he goes again. Zondi will be in front going out of the pits. Yeah. Who's that just behind Scorpion Shane is yeah, I'm trying to work out exactly what he is doing, having a little bit of a wiggle there. The graphic just updates itself, having a little bit of a hissy fit for a moment or two. So we'll let the graphic source itself out. Always very helpful when the graphics decide to do their own thing. So Zondi's at the back. Carlo is definitely not the race leader. So I'm not entirely sure what has happened to this. There we go. Right, I think it is now sorting itself out. Sorry about that, guys. Not quite sure what's happened to the graphic, but it is what it is. So penalties, got a few extras just popped up there. KXI, Cody, and Close Sepanza, I want to say it is. All 5 seconds penalties. Don't believe any of those guys pit either, so very, very interesting they've got those particular penalties on there. Let's get rid of the times for a moment while we are under safety car. So position changes on lap 1. Top 2 sitting pretty, as it were. So Jimmy PSV not only took pole, will also lead around behind the safety car and take lead of the race once the safety car comes in. See what sort of restart we get. Not loop bet or 4 places into 3rd place. Good little start there. KXI 5 places, Cody 6 places. Head down the order, big gainers. Harass, that started in last place, is now up 12 places into P7. Zenix Josh up 8 places into 8th, and Nolesley 80k up 9 into 9th as it stands, and the championship leader there, Spencer, in 10th place, up from 15th to 5th. Biggest losers, just so Godley down 6 to 12th place. William Gaming down 10 places to 15th. He's obviously had a pit stop there, which has caused him considerable time and a massive loss there for him after a strong qualifying session. TJ Carlo, we saw obviously whether it was contact or not is still yet to be confirmed, but he's now running at least down in 17th place. At least he is still running, everything to play for in the wet, so you never know what's going to happen. And Zondi, so in fact our top two in driver standings at the minute running 10th and 16th, so really good chance here for someone new to take a grip of the championship, or at least close in on that gap at the top of the tables. Fastest lap in the wet so far, 1:54. Obviously we haven't had a representative fastest lap yet due to the weather conditions and the fact that the safety car came out before the end of lap 1. So it'll be interesting to see what that time comes down to. Predictably you're looking around 8 seconds slower on an intermediate tyre on average between tracks to a slick tyre, so anywhere between a 142, 143 for your faster runners, I'd expect on this intermediate tyre. Down the back of the grid obviously it can really vary depending on each individual racer and anything they might incur on their lap. As we go green again at the front, absolutely brilliant restart there for Jimmy PSV. A little bit of an attack on here, not Luke Beck looking for the inside line, and has he held it? No, he hasn't held it into turn 1, although the Red Bull there having to go rather wide. Just been asked a query here on the stream, skewered cheese. I believe it was William Gaming, if I'm completely honest. I didn't get a quite clear cut of it, but I believe EZW Loop was further back in the grid at the time. Trying to keep on board with this battle up here at the moment. Can't see anything else drastically happening. Let's have a look. Right. In fact, we'll keep it on the stops for the time being, see what we can see. So KXI there in the Ferrari, closing down the Aston Martin. He's going to have a little bit of a look, I'd expect. He is going into a right-hander. Can he get into the braking zone? He has. Can he hold it on the exit? Excellent position in the car, and now under the attack by the Alpine of Cody is the Aston Martin. So quite interesting to see how that goes. A few position changes a bit further down. The Haas looking down the inside of the Mercedes. Harras, he's in a little bit of a Mercedes sandwich at the moment. Right on board. Oh, Harras is okay to keep that place as the Haas makes a dive into the pit lane. Let's see what these gaps are at. Right, so we've got a Ferrari down the bottom having a little bit of a look. Frenzy having a look at Loop. He can't quite get it done there. Had a look. He's had to back out of that, knowing it's going to be very tough into the braking zone. Oh, Loop having a little bit of a moment then on the exit, but seems to have kept it stable very easily as Zenix just comes flying through down the inside there, given just a little bit too much room by Frenzy, and Zenix Josh all over that, taking the opportunity. He did not need asking twice on that occasion. In fact, he's already looking at the back of the McLaren, who is definitely being held back a little bit by just so Godley in front. And McLaren has a moment, and there we go again. Zenix Josh taking the inside route and not needing a second invitation there as it gets all a little bit tight through here. McLaren's, I would say it was team orders, but I'm sure at this stage of the race there's certainly no team orders going to be going on. A little bit of an unlucky couple of turns there as Zondi goes through as well, and the Aston Martin of TJ Carlo coming right down there very, very quickly. realising he needed to back off. Will he make it? That was a bit of a dive, but just about gave each other room there. So Luke looks like he's really struggling with these conditions at the moment. Quite tight in the midfield then, as out front Jimmy PSV, 6.7 second lead. He's walking the park at the moment. Let's see if he can keep it consistent and continue to grow that gap. As we see KXI in third place there, and Ferrari looking at its delta is closing in on the Red Bull in second place. See, just so Godley trying to go back at Zenix Josh. Didn't look like it happened there. Will he have another look at the end of the long left-hander? No, he certainly won't. Not if he's lifting through that section, but he'll certainly be waiting for another opportunity, I'm sure. As we see, the race leader has gone down to P6. I'm not quite sure what has happened here. Have a little look. Can't see any damage on the car, so maybe he's had a little bit of a spin. Do apologise. Pyro Raptor there, DNF. Don't know quite what's happened. Presuming he has lost it on his own accord. Just trying to have a little look further back, in fact. See if there's any damage on. Yeah, that might have been contact, looking at the way he's driving. He's looking very, very slow. No, the car looks alright from here. Down the back. So it's a good chance for the Haas to close back up to the group as full safety cars deployed. So we've got a new race leader, and that means someone new to follow the safety car around and for the safety car restart. See how we get on. KXI, certainly man on the move, has proceeded through the pack up to second place in that last stint. Not Luke Beck is still in third place despite the movement around him, although he is boxing now. Could these drivers now be trying to use this as their one and only pit stop? It's possible. There we go, as he's released. See where he comes back out. Quite a few drivers now boxing. Not Luke Beck on his way out of the box. Cody in the box. Sondi, Zenix Josh all in the pits at the moment. Just watch the deltas as we see everyone start to come back together. So we've got a few drive-through penalties on here now. That could be presumably for speeding under the safety car delta when the safety car was brought out. So just so Godley there and Frenzy both got drive-throughs to serve. Now they can't serve them under the safety car. They will have to wait until the race gets back underway and the track goes green once again. Oh, hello, Jimmy PSV having a little bit of a weave there, just trying to get some heat in his tyres. See the pole sitter trying to have a look, have a little bit think, and see what he's going to do in the next stint. I believe he's still got to pit as well, so it'll be quite interesting when the pit stops do come around. Yeah, so everyone in top 7 still to pit at the moment. William Gaming has already pit, but it was very, very early. I'd be very surprised if he can go to the end. TJ Carlo, same as well. Just so Godley has just been through the pits, I believe. No, he hasn't, so he's on track, so he might have had a little spin because he has suddenly dropped down the order. He was up with Frenzy in the Ferrari in P7. Anyone watching, I do apologise if any moments I do stutter. It is my first opportunity to commentate, so just a quick thank you to Spencer Milton, who is the organiser of the Division 1 of DFRL, for giving me the opportunity this evening. Hopefully from next week we'll be doing a joint commentary for the Division 1 races between myself and Optics, who commentated last week. So hopefully that'll be pretty good to bounce off each other. and give some good coverage. Hopefully, if both aren't available, at least one of us will be to cover the season, which would be absolutely fantastic. So most of the pack are now getting back together. We've got the Haas and the Red Bull there in the pit exit as we speak, but they should have plenty of time to catch the safety car at the low speeds. So I would certainly expect to see the safety car in on this lap. Five-second time penalty there to not Luke Beck for a collision with Just So Godly. Now, from where it is, I might jump to a conclusion. It does tend to be that the rear driver doesn't leave enough space to the car in front. It is quite a common issue on the safety car and an issue that a lot of leagues are experiencing. So I'll take a wild presumption, and I will call it presumption because I haven't got the facts in front of me, that Just So Godly may have clipped into the back of not Luke Beck, and it is not in fact the Aston Martin's fault. So depending on the stewarding decisions there, we could potentially see that removed after the race by the drive stewards. As see notification that the safety car is in on this lap. We're going to jump back up to the top and ride on board with KXI in P2, see if he can make anything off the restart, and potentially look at jump into turn 2 would be the first opportunity. See how the Red Bull plays this. Does he go early, or is he going to wait right until the final corner? Safety car just entering the pit lane now. Just waiting. And it looks like he's going to hit it off the exit. There we go, the Red Bull has gone last moment as he exits the final corner. KXI there really closely following him. We'll follow this battle all the way down to turn 2. Oh, play nicely, lads. That's it. Just getting a little bit close for comfort there and decided to back out of it. Very wise move, looking at the long haul of the championship. But he is going to go back at it again. Will he be able to do it round to turn 4 on the brakes? No, he's going to give the space. Very wise under the conditions. Great battle in there. And he's going to continue to battle for that position. He's certainly not wanting to settle in P2 for very long. He wants to get on up there. Further down the order, what we've got, Frenzy has got a drive-through and dropped right to the back. Now I thought he might have served it. Unless he's picked up 2 drive-throughs, it would be incredibly unlucky. Just So Godly there, a 3-second time penalty for multiple warnings for corner cutting. See what else we've got going on. William Gaming then in the McLaren, going after the driver's leader at the minute in the tables after 2 rounds. He's actually slipping away a little bit there. Although it looks like he's catching up, takes a little bit of a ride over the sausage curb there. Absolutely brutal, these sausage curbs around the Sochi track. Loop there, taking a little bit of a dive down the leaderboard. He has had a spin there. Don't know whether that was contact made or whether he's done that under his own accord. We did see him struggle a little bit with the car in the current conditions. So next Josh here in the Red Bull, certainly closing up to the Haas. He's going to be wanting to get some decent points on the board for tonight's race. He's got no points on the board actually for the first 2 races, so he'll be certainly looking to capitalise in a wet race and try and get up there and score some good points for the team, while his teammate is up in first place at the minute. We'll get a little bit close down here though for the final couple of points. Cody in the Alpine, a little bit of a sandwich fill-in at the minute between the pole sitter and Zondi, the race winner from last time out. So I'm sure it's been great racing here coming up. In fact, the Haas behind now starting to close in, as is Zenix Josh behind that. So all these cars running within about 3 seconds of each other from P8 down to P12, so 5 cars there in a very, very short gap. As KXI has taken the lead in the time we've been watching this battle, and they've pulled out a 8/10 of a second on Sawsoch in P2, so good going there from KXI. He certainly wasn't wanting to hang around, and he has managed to get through. Watching these guys all in very, very quick formation here. Who's going to go for the pounce first? That's interesting to read. Might be EZW Luke might have been involved in a few penalties from what I am reading. So there is Cody jumping up to the front of this little train then, as Just So Godly does take to the pit lane. And an absolute train of cars. Now if we did have DRS, if it was dry conditions, there would just be an absolute DRS train up here, and it would be a question of who's brave on the brakes. You still got a question of who's brave on the brakes, but in the wet conditions most drivers are good enough to know that you do have to give a little bit more whether they like it or not. It's all about the long run here rather than the sprint. So lap 11 of 27. Had 2 safety car periods so far. Hopefully most drivers will be hoping that is the end of those safety car periods so they can continue racing. I see Zondi here really starting to close up to the back of Cody, so let's ride on board. Certainly not a little section you can overtake in very easily here, but if he can keep on the back of the Alpine, going through the exit down what would be the DRS straight, might have an opportunity into the right hand at the end here. I don't think he's quite going to be close enough to go for a dive there, certainly not close enough at the moment, but he is right on the back of the Alpine. He'll certainly be looking off the exit of the final corner to make a run down the main straight, although Zondi not looking to want to wait quite that long as he pokes it down the outside. Cody going wheel to wheel with him. Great racing from both guys there, and Zondi just yielding slightly, so not caught up in any accident. Cody sticking his ground. Now they bring the Haas behind into close contention. Zondi going for a run again. Will he do it on the brakes? Yeah, he's got the line there on the brakes. Can he thread it through? Cody gone slightly off the track, but still holds the position there. But it does give Zondi a better run. He's not linking it up at the minute though, and Cody for the time being just about holds on to that P8, although he does pick up a 3-second time penalty there for multiple warnings. I think Zondi is having another look again, still can't do it. We'll drop back down to this intense battle in the midfield in a moment. Just take a moment to ride on board with our race leader KXI. After that second safety car restart, has had a good little run, 1.5 seconds up the road now from Sawsoch in P2 in the Red Bull. Both very happily sat there, although Harass starting at the very back of the grid has made an impressive move up to P3. Now Zondi has just DNF'd. I'm not entirely sure what has happened there. Where are we? Just So Godly also having a little bit of a moment, going extremely slow there, not sure what's happened. Every time I move away from the action, something happens, or if you're not on it and someone's in the middle of nowhere, guarantee they'll be the ones to have a little bit of a spin. Car's removed, safety car out again, third safety car of the session, as are we going to see a few people there taken to the pit lane. So those guys that did not pit earlier on are going to be on quite fresh tyres now. It is half race distance, so perfectly timed for a swap onto the new set of intermediate tyre and new boots for most of these guys. Spencer Milton in interval first place, we'll call it for the time being. Now he stopped on lap 1, so he has got a way to go on those tyres. I would be very surprised if we don't see him come into the pits. Now, with it being on the safety car and the pack now closing him down pretty quickly, he is probably going to lose out here if he does pit now. Probably come out looking at the time deltas, it would be around P12, P13, but obviously he is going slower and slower there. So those guys behind will be catching. So it might be a little bit unlucky in his placement at the minute. Not Luke Beck looking pretty tidy in P2 with 5 laps on his tyres, could easily see them through to the end with a little bit of tyre wear. Cody asking if that was his fault with the incident with Zondi. Honestly, I was so unlucky. I moved away from that battle, and then it must have happened within the next couple of corners there, Cody, so I do apologise. I didn't actually clip it. I did clip that he was jumping down the order and obviously had been taken out of the race. But I would suggest get your footage ready. I'm sure that the stewards will be interested in that a little bit later on. So our representative laps, Jimmy PSV down there in 8th place has got the fastest lap at the minute, 1:44.4. Now he did take provisional pole as well, so we know he's quick, but he is stuck down in 8th place at the minute. I believe he did have a little bit of a spin earlier on when he was around 6-7 seconds up in the lead. So he's now got a little bit of work to do to get through the pack. He is on fresh intermediate tyres, just the 3 on fresh inters in front of him at the moment, including KXI, who led the majority of the last stint between safety car 2 and 3 being released. In terms of overall lap time, in fact, we've only got 3 or 4 that are in the high 45, so Jimmy PSV's lap time there is in fact a full second quicker than anyone else on track's best time. Now, it might have been a one-off best lap for all we know. However, certainly means he has got the pace in the car. Let's see what he can do with it. See what his wheel-to-wheel combat's like on the restart, and he'll soon want to jump through the order. So looking at tyre wear, majority are on fresh tyres or near fresh. The only ones on high tyre wear then is the current race leader behind safety car Spencer Milton on 13 lap old intermediate tyres. In the way of penalties though, the Aston Martin will be poised to take the lead if Spencer does come in the pits. However, he has got 13 seconds worth of penalties there. Now, from what we saw earlier, I believe he was clipped from the rear, which caused 5 seconds of that under the last safety car, so potentially that might get removed after the race by the race stewards. Zenix Josh down P4 with a 3-second time penalty. Majority of these in 3-second multiples is due to corner quitting. TJ Carlo down there with 5-second time penalty. EZW Luke 5 seconds as well down towards the back of the field, and 14 seconds for Just So Godly. As we see notification, safety car in this lap, so Spencer there slowing the pack down. 3 safety car restarts. We've got 3 different drivers going to be leading them away. He's going to look to get the power down off the last corner. There he goes. And watching on board, see what battles we've got. Jimmy there looking for a way through past Sawsock into turn 2. He's not quite going to look it up, but the Red Bull has gone wide, and that doesn't actually get him the position. Very interesting that he didn't manage that in the end there. KXI and Ferrari as well, looking up at Haras. KXI was the interval race leader before the safety car period. Obviously he has boxed on 2 fresh ints now, so sitting pretty. As we see William Gaiman retire from the race there. Also we've got Zenex Josh there closing in now on the Haas, looking for a podium and a good showing tonight. He's been known just to turn up for a league race elsewhere as a reserve driver recently. I won't name the leagues, but in those leagues just turned up on the night and put in good performances, so we'll see if he can do a repeat tonight in his full-time position. Oh, having a little bit of snap there though. Will Haras take advantage? No, he won't. Certainly closing up the pack behind there though. Cody getting pretty close there to the AlphaTauri, pretty close to the point he was almost inside the gearbox. A little bit of a battle here. Soursock going very defensive, and okay, I don't know whether Soursock was actually aiming to go in the pit lane there, to be honest, but it's certainly letting everyone else close up. AlphaTauri coming up to TJ Carlo here, right behind. Soursock has retired from the session. He did go out wide there now. I don't know whether there was a little bit of contact. Certainly have a little bit of a watch back. He's able to loop, head into the pit lane again and getting a 5-second penalty for speeding on pit lane entry. So just another thing to take away from his performance. Having a little bit of a hard time down there at the back of the grid this evening. Up front, looks like we might have a little bit of battle going on. Spencer might start to struggle on those used tyres as not Luke Beck, just 4 tenths behind now. Might be looking to make a move. He's on 7 lap hold intermediates now, not Luke Beck in the Aston Martin, compared to Spencer's 14 lap hold tyres, so he has got a good extra block of tyre usage in there. Should give him a little bit of advantage. Also remember guys, with the intermediate tyre, as soon as the wear starts increasing, it is increasingly harder to keep the warmth in the tyres. Does make it a lot harder to control the car. Everything starting to settle out now through the field. Closest battle, we've got the Ferrari of Frenzy closing up on Cody there. We'll keep an eye on that race leader battle as well. If it does start to drop again, we will join back on as we see a little bit of a dive from TJ Carlo there. Absolutely brilliant pass there. Wasn't expecting it whatsoever. Came from about half a second back. So let's ride on board, see if he can close the gap as the race leaders do go to battle. I don't think with the tyre life Spencer's got, sadly he's going to be able to fight it too much, but he has got to be very careful. He's got a couple of those cars that did pit on the safety car on the fresher tyres coming up behind him now, and definitely closing in. Let's ride on board as we see Jimmy PSV getting pretty close to KXI, a little bit further down, so we'll also keep an eye on the deltas there, see if we can catch a little bit of a battle. Yeah. So using a bit of ERS here to try and close up the gap, but certainly not close enough to look at a pass at this point. Just looking at some of these penalties, they really are going to change the order come the end of the race. They're going to really impact certain drivers on the grid this evening, whether it be through running the curbs or contact or speeding in the pit lane. So many variables. This battle getting very little tasty here and getting very compact. We're going to ride on board with the Alfa Romeo now, having a look down the inside of the Ferrari. Obviously Ferrari power unit in the Alfa Romeo as well. So he's going to look, is he going to the outside? Yes, he's going to go to the outside, but it's going to be quite late on the brakes, locking up, and can't quite make it stick for now. But he's got slightly better exit, a little bit of ERS around the outside. Very, very brave man. Certainly something I will do, and in fact he has lost it there. I think a little bit of ERS gave him away. Obviously very, very competitive, but couldn't quite hold it there. Zenix Josh getting increasingly close to that podium position. Loop, another 3-second time penalty for multiple warnings for track limits. That's actually his first one for track limits. He has had a few others for speeding in the pit lane so far this evening. I believe he's served one of those, but as he served one, he actually gains another on the same entry time. So current drivers table champion, or championship leader should I say, in the Mercedes is Spencer, who is currently sat in a very pretty P2, albeit his tyre wear is much, much higher than the majority on the grid. For the time being he's sat nicely, and probably going to hoping to score some decent points. He's probably quite well aware that if he does pit at this stage of the race, it will drop him outside the points, and he might just look to take it easy, make sure he does pick up decent points, maybe in the top 5 at presumption, looking at the current times, rather than dropping completely out the points. Lap 19 of 27, 8 laps to go. Your race leader, not Luke Beck, in the Aston Martin, followed by Spencer, followed by the Haas, apologies. Nolazy, ATK, Zenix Josh hunting them down in the Red Bull, and Harris in P5 in the Mercedes. The Mercedes at P2, P5 as we get Sector 3. Who is that in Sector 3? That is EZ Loop. I think it was just a little bit of a spin. Gone straight back to a green track, thankfully. A very lonely race down there. Also for the AlphaTauri down there in P13, having a very lonely race. Just so Godley, 17 seconds of penalties. A bit unlucky earlier on in the race. Finds himself outside the points as well. Sadly, no consolation prizes there, as it looks quite a hefty penalty gain. Would surely see him outside the penalties, even if he does manage to pick a place or two in these closing laps of the race. Frenzy in the Ferrari, P8, closing on Cody slowly, who has just fallen off the back of the other Ferrari, KXI, riding in P6 at the moment, who's starting to close up to this little battle we have here. This little battle, in fact, getting quite intense here. Red Bull of Zenix Josh. Spencer taking a tumble down the order. Don't know if he had a bad exit off the final corner, but not losing one but 2 places there, and coming under attack from his teammate as well. Is he going to make it an easy pass for his teammate, or is he going to fight for the position? Although Harris looking to be very, very slow there, as in fact safety car does come out. Just so Godley has gone out of the race. He wasn't directly near anyone, so I'll guess that is under his own accord, taking a little bit of a drop. Zenix Josh doing that just at the right time, and I'll be very, very surprised if we do not see Spencer now come into the pits and take that pit stop. He has not pit as of yet. He does have to get those tyres off surely now after 20 laps. Those tyres must be shot. His best opportunity is to pit now. Looking at where he's sat under safety car times, he's probably still going to come out around P11, but it does mean he's going to be on fresh tyres there to the end. P11, 6 lap old Inters around that area, Frenzy and 10 lap old tyres, lead couple on 11 and 12 lap old tyres, so fairly stable there. But yeah, Spencer I would certainly expect, if we ride on board here, to see him head into the pit lane. He's really struggling there. Great race up until now, and the fact that he's only just dropped those positions is quite surprising that he held onto them for so long on those tyres. It is safety car 4 in the Russian Grand Prix, lap 20. Going on to lap 21, so they pick up the safety car, there we go, as Spencer does, as we suspected, take the option to pit in, as not Luke Beck heading down, and we'll pick up the safety car just after the turn 2. There is the safety car just on the left hand side that he's now going to sit behind, as he actually picks up a time penalty, 3-second time penalty there for pushing track limits. Now that is certainly not ideal to add to his tally of penalties this evening. So 16 seconds worth of penalties up there in the lead, and this safety car bringing everyone into contention does mean he really could take a whack at the final stand-ins with the penalties he's accrued through the race. Albeit he's had a pretty solid drive, he's had a couple of mistakes, giving him 6 seconds worth of time penalties from corner cutting and 2 5-second penalties. Not entirely sure what the second one was for. Obviously one was from earlier contact, so that one may well be removed. If the other one was from contact as well, potentially he might have 2 to be removed, but I can't overly say, as I don't know at this moment in time. Now the Haas has been hanging on in the top few throughout this race, putting in a very strong, consistent performance, so he's looking to be in a very solid position, potentially to take the race win here based on penalties. He's on no penalties whatsoever at the minute, driving a very, very clean race down there in P2 as it stands. And then it's Josh, 3 seconds penalties. He has got the pace in the car. Can he give some consistent laps after this safety car? Probably looking around 5 laps of racing by the time we close up the fields. If we go green on lap 23, that'll be 5 laps of racing. So that'll be this one plus another lap behind the safety car, which, looking at how far back the AlphaTauri and McLaren are on track, certainly take a little while for them to close up to the pack. Our pole sitter down in P6 still, Jimmy PSV. He has had another little spin we caught earlier on as he tried to make a move around the outside on the long left-hander between turns 2 and 4. The long left-hander itself actually classified as turn 3 on the track map. Cody there losing a place to TJ Carlo, who seems to be ghosted, so I'm taking a wild guess that he is AFK from the race at the minute and not actually in his car. Quite interesting to see if he comes back in before. Cody going to try. I don't think you can do that, Cody, I'm afraid, buddy. It will come up as an illegal overtake, I'm afraid. Yeah, not quite sure why he's AFK there, but certainly not in his car. It does mean going into turn 2, if he stays like that and stays ghosted, Cody will have plenty of room as he can just break through the ghost. Not ideal racing, certainly not what is encouraged, but opportunity is there. Cody won't be asking questions, he will just take it, snap it up and try and get on the back of Spencer, who we've seen him race quite firmly wheel to wheel with previously. Frenzy down P11, certainly going to be trying to stay on the gearbox of Cody. They've been quite close all race. They have had some wheel to wheel to this point, so it'll be interesting to see who can keep it together for these last few. Wow, that was a little bit close for comfort there. I think he might need to give that position back to Cody. Yep, he's given that position back. These guys just getting a little bit too close. TJ Carlo, there we go. 5-second penalty for ignoring the yellow flags, and that's quite interesting because we're underneath safety car conditions, so to me that's he's done an illegal overtake, although he is still AFK from his vehicle, so very, very odd indeed there, unless there is a slight internet issue on his end. So look back, yeah, it's going to be quite interesting. So I'm actually going to ride on board with the Red Bull of Zenix Josh as not Luke Beck takes the restart. Oh, and there we go, straight away onto the grass there for the Haas, under attack. Play nicely, lads. Harass a little bit too attacking there, as there we go, KXI a little bit deep in on the brakes, and it caused himself to spin. Thankfully the Haas driver has managed to carry it on. Where's that bring him out? Cody around the outside of the pole sitter. Let's jump back to interval, see what we've got going on. Right, there we are then. So the Alpines coming together there. Are they still in the race? They are both still in the race. Yellow sector 1, sector 2, no VSC at this point. Very late in the race, highly doubt we'll see anything unless it is a VSC at this point. Let these guys go racing, please, to the FIA stewards is what I'd be saying. Just get rid of that graphic, see what's going on. This is getting a little bit tight up here. Alfa Romeo looking for the pass on the AlphaTauri. Can he do it on the brakes? No. The AlphaTauri sat back there. Now, KXI and the Ferrari is sitting and watching through all of this, and in fact the other Ferrari of Frenzy closing up now as well, so see what they can do. The Ferraris are looking to hunt a little bit here. KXI getting so close there and nearly went on the back, into the back of Jimmy PSV. I see Frenzy there having a look on his teammate as he had a little bit of avoiding contact there. KXI makes the better of the exits on the run down to turn 2. Can he do anything on the brakes into turn 2? It's going to go down to the inside. No, just a little bit too far back there, as we see a yellow flag. Race leader has taken a spin by looks of it. I'm hoping it wasn't due to contact. Spencer there, after his pit stop, flying up to P4. Absolutely brilliant on those new tyres, and he's going to be very happy there. Sector 1, again we've got yellow flags. What is going on here, guys? We've got getting a little bit messy in these last few laps. Keep it clean, 4 laps to go. Let's try and all see the checkered flag now. Just 13 runners left in the session. There's Alfa Romeo really struggling now by the looks of it. He's had great pace, just the consistency. He's had a few little moments throughout. There we go, the Ferrari down the inside. Can the Ferrari driver hold it? Getting all a little bit close here. Who's going to take it? The Ferrari going to drop behind. Will he get on the brakes? No, he won't. He is yielding and going to give that position for the time being as our previous race leader. Now trying to join in the action after a little bit of a spin. Right, let's just quickly run through the order from the top end. Zenix Josh has taken the lead of the race and just posted the fastest lap of the race there as well. Fastest lap there that he's just posted was 1:44.3. So whether that be the racetrack is drying up a little bit or whether he is really just hooking it up now, he's got a little bit of clear air. Aston Martin trying to come back down the side of Frenzy in the Ferrari. Can he do it? Frenzy has gone off the track but hasn't yielded position. AlphaTauri there having a little bit of a look. I think it's KXI has actually gone down the inside. As soon as we look away, typically Luke Beck does make that move, although Frenzy on the cutback has gone back through. Good use of the cutback and I think look back there did go a little bit wide, as Jimmy PSV still struggling there all over the road. I think he's going to come under pressure quite quickly now from the Ferrari and both Aston Martins, as TJ Carlo is coming into this little battle here. Frenzy there in the Ferrari taking a little bit of a wide line, allowing not look back through. He's now going to surely have a go at the Alfa Romeo. Closing stages of the race, 3 laps to go then as the leader crosses the line. In fact, it'll be 2 laps to go when the leader crosses the line. We'll drop back to watch this. Guys, really getting squeezed there, the Aston Martin. But he's going to have to wait for another opportunity to try and get that pass done, as TJ Carlo is now within 5/10 of Frenzy that we're riding on board with. Let's have a little look as we look down this battle. Who can do it? The Aston Martin really lining up the Alfa Romeo going up the straight. Who's got the better exit? In fact, I think it might well have been the Ferrari behind that got the better of the exits, but they all seem quite even, although the Aston Martin is now closing in the second stage here. Can he do it on the brakes? He cannot. The Ferrari as well getting very, very close, gone a little bit deep. I think he was a bit wary there. They didn't want to clip those in front. Right on board the Aston Martin again, trying to go down the inside. Very nicely done. Excellent display there of his spatial awareness, and in fact the Ferrari going to try and take advantage there. Oh, that could have been a little bit cleaner in fact. I don't think they quite needed to come together there. Frenzy could have done a little bit more room, but so be it. It is racing, and very hard racing at that, but he is through, as we see TJ Carlo next one to come up against the what was our pole sitter, Jimmy PSV. Has just had a little bit of struggle in this race. Only real battle on track this at the moment, as everyone seems to settle in, with our race leader about to turn the penultimate corner, and he will therefore go on to the final lap. So next Josh, with 6 seconds of penalties for corner cutting, is 3.3 seconds in front of Harras in P2. He's surely going to be trying his hardest to pull out a gap so he doesn't lose that race victory, but at the same time he does not want to bin it while he's pushing hard. So I think he may well have to settle for a second place if he can pull that gap to 6 seconds over the Haas in P3. This last lap then, let's ride on board with our race leader. Let's have a look at the standing gap there. He is 5.4 seconds in front of the Haas. Will he be able to pull out another 6/10 on this closing lap? Let's ride on board with him and see. Heading down the back straight then into start sector 3 for the final time this evening. ZX Josh leading the way. As it stands, he's going to stay on the podium, but he will be dropping down to P3 based on penalties. Such a shame after a great drive through the field this evening. He has come up 15 places there. Harras has also come up 17 places, so the top 3, albeit it will be in a slightly different order as the penalties are applied. 10x Josh takes checker flag, although on penalties as dropped down. Harras takes the win of the Russian Grand Prix round 3 of Dragon Force Racing League's Division 1 race this evening. Haas down there in P2. Great comeback drive from these 3 that have taken the podium this evening. Come from right down the field. 10x Josh does drop there to P3, confirmation has it. Spencer again, great comeback drive, held it out long on this first set of intermediate tyres, waited for the 3rd safety car to take his pit stop, and then drove hard, fair, all the way through to the end to take P4. There we are then. Haas driver getting driver of the day. Honestly, driver of the day for me must be any of those guys on the podium. Did such a good job to make it to the podium positions there from right down the order in the back couple of cars starting out. We will just have final classification on the screen in a couple of moments time. I know stewards will probably look at a few little incidents we have had this evening. There we are then, confirmation. Mercedes take the top step. The Haas in P2 and Zenix Josh Red Bull P3. Mercedes having a good drive there as Spencer in P4. Ferraris P5, P6. Great race, gentlemen, there. Albeit it was quite a hard race for both drivers, having to really fight their way through the field. Our pole sitter Jimmy PSV unlucky in the race, had a few spins and struggled with the consistency side of things in the Alfa Romeo. Takes him down to P7. Unfortunate, but still good points for the Alfa Romeo team there, as his teammate hasn't picked up any on this occasion. So we've run down, and not Luke Beck there was a race leader at one point, scraping home in P10. He did have multiple penalties there and a long list of DNFs with the very challenging conditions we've had this evening for the Russian Grand Prix in Sochi. For anyone watching, thank you for watching DFRL's round 3. They will be back next week, round 4. I hope to be about to commentate as well, and hopefully joining me in the commentary box next week will be Optics, so dual commentary, which hopefully will give us a absolutely great insight to each other's words of wisdom. Means we'll be looking at keeping an eye on not only the closest track battles, but we'll be able to see more of what's going on, so those that may be struggling a little bit, and any strategic decisions that really could benefit the race. But for now, that's all for this evening from Sochi. Have a good night and hope to see you next week.